Welcome back to Fast Money. Cryptocurrency is getting crushed as one of the world's biggest crypto markets is gearing up to crack down on trading operations. Bob Pisani is breaking it down from the NYSE. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Melissa. Regulators everywhere are taking a closer look at cryptocurrencies. South Korea's Justice Ministry said it was preparing a bill that will ban all cryptocurrency trading. The country's one of the biggest markets for major coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum, as well as Ripple. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that China is ordering the closure of Bitcoin mining operations. They've already shut down exchanges that trade cryptocurrencies, so this is ramping things up a little bit. And a U.S. Senate panel is holding a hearing next month with top market regulators on the risks cryptocurrencies pose to the U.S. financial system. Elsewhere, for all this ruckus around Bitcoin, have you noticed that Bitcoin has been fairly quiet since Bitcoin futures started trading on December 10th on the CBOE? It traded in a wild range going into that, but other than that brief blip up, it's been basically between 13 and 16,000 since then. Pretty quiet compared to the wild rides of Ripple and Ethereum, for example. There may be something to the argument that the introduction of futures has made Bitcoin less volatile. Or maybe, Melissa, your show is the reason volatility is lower. You introduced the Bitcoin bug. That was around December 17th, as I recall. That's right as the CME Bitcoin future started. Maybe it was you who topped out Bitcoin. Who knows? Finally, notice that Ripple is the only big cryptocurrency up today, and for good reason. They inked a deal with money transfer company MoneyGram. The partnership will have MoneyGram test the Ripple infrastructure for use in transferring funds around. That's a big piece of news because that's the purpose of Ripple, transferring money between financial institutions. Back to you, Melissa.
All right. Thank you very much, Bob Pisani. We were talking about that with one of the creators of Ethereum, the use case, right, and how you value a coin could also include what the use case is for the platform, right?
Yeah, and I think people are looking for the most interesting use cases to derive the highest multiple for their coin. But again, I think valuations right now are really challenging. That doesn't mean, the
across the board.
It doesn't mean the reason for being, and the proof of the proof case is not being proven right now. But I think people are buying because it's going higher.
I have a question for BK.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's here.
Okay, good. So the China mining thing is great news for all the other miners in the world.
Yes, it is great news. So about 75% of the mining is in China right now. So the question is, a lot of those Chinese miners are moving out of China. They've already started this process, so this is not necessarily new news. The real question for Bitcoin is how quickly can they ramp up in other parts of the world? So Michelle had a great report today from Washington State. Big Bitcoins mined there. It's very positive in the sense that you don't want to have all your mining concentrated in one country, because then that kind of is a centralized type of thing. So if we can get this dispersed across the world, in the long run, this is actually going to be quite positive for Bitcoin. In the short run, you could see some hiccups. You could see the network slow down.
Well, I don't think anyone buys this on valuation. I don't know what valuation you could be looking at. So I traded around the peripheral. So I trade it with overstock, because then you deal with...
You're buying that on valuation?
No, because there's no valuation.
Okay,
you just said that you were afraid of valuation in Bitcoin.
I heard you talking about stocks.
What's valuation?
What's it based off of? I'm asking you.
You said it.
No, but I guess the argument is if you can't buy a coin, if you can't,
did you not say Bitcoin, people buying it because it's going up? I'm nervous about valuation.
The point,
yes, I did.
Hello.
You started saying...
The point is that you're not buying Bitcoin because you can't get a handle on valuation, but you're buying overstock. Blockchain. Can you get a handle on valuation there?
Blockchain, because I'm buying blockchain. So whether or not Bitcoin is successful or not, blockchain will be successful in the longer term. So I'm buying that based on T0, which is their ICO.
All right, well, despite all the regulation talk, BK says there's one coin that should be the next shiny addition to your crypto portfolio. BK, why don't you head over to the class and get the crypto class going. Here.
So what's interesting about some of this regulatory talk that's coming out of South Korea is that there's a couple different agencies out there. I wouldn't surprised if they go kind of the Japan route, where they have really good regulation similar to what we have here in the U.S. But let's take a look at one coin that was interesting to me that I bought today off of that Ripple news. So I think that Ripple news was very big. Ripple had the use case for it is to send stuff around the world. Now you're going to be able to actually use the currency, or MoneyGram's going to start doing that. So why don't we look at another one? Stellar. Stellar is one that is very similar to Ripple. It's created by one of the creators of Ripple. Effectively, the company split and went out and created Stellar. They're already working with IBM. They inked a deal with them to do cross-border payments. So IBM has a payment system similar to what MoneyGram wants to do. It's faster and cheaper than Bitcoin. And what I mean by that is you can move stuff around faster and it'll cost you less than Bitcoin at this point in time. So those are the things that I like about Stellar. So let's go to the next slide. All right, MoneyGram deal with Ripple. I actually think this is a watershed event for the industry. The biggest problem that people have had is, okay, why do I use these coins? Well, you use it if you're MoneyGram, so you don't have to hold a lot of foreign currency. Other people are going to start looking to say, okay, how do I compete against MoneyGram? Right? They're going to get their margins lower. I got to go out there and look. So now who do I look for? Somebody that's very similar to Ripple, that has a deal with IBM, and I can get bigger margins, or at least I can make more money like MoneyGram wants to do. And the partnership with IBM, again, I think that's very important here. And we talked about how IBM doesn't get enough credit for what they're doing. Now, let's look at the chart. Let's look at what's going on here. Okay, so Stellar, here you go. Had this big run. That's all on the IBM news. Boom, we're down here. It's trading at about 55 to 60 cents or so. I think you get another jump up there as more news starts to come out and more people start to look to use this technology.
Hi, BK.
Hi.
Hi, good question for you.
Yes.
How big is the market cap of Stella right now relative, and where do you think those would potentially converge, or what do you think the future upside could be?
Yeah, well, so the market cap on all of these things are somewhat outrageous. And by that, I mean outrageous when it comes to stock parameters. We're talking about currencies here, so they can grow to the size that they need to grow. Ripple, in a sense, or where do I think it can go on the upside here, trading 55 to 60 cents, would not surprise me to see this thing over $1, so a double, especially if they announce some kind of news or if anybody comes out and says, hey, we're going to start using this like MoneyGram is.
BK, play sales trader for me. On a day like today and a week we've had where things have been pulling back, what are you seeing in terms of the momentum? And are there scared sellers out there? Think about the hands that are holding this. There are not a lot of strong hands out there, so to speak. What are you seeing?
Yeah, what you're seeing is you're seeing U.S. investors buying, Asian investors selling, and that's created this dynamic where Bitcoin's been just trading in this very large range.
What exchange can you buy Stellar on in the U.S.?
You can buy Stellar on the Bittrex exchange and on the Poloniex exchange are the two that I have used.
All right. Thanks, BK, for that crypto class. Still ahead, two major sporting events, the Super Bowl and Olympics. They're both just around the corner, and they're giving a major boost to one group of stocks. We'll reveal what those are. Plus, Karen has made her way over to the Plaza. She bumped out BK. She's warm enough to pitch the one soaring stock she thinks could fly even higher, but can she convince the other traders? Find out when she delivers her fast pitch. Much more Fast Money right after this.